Keep it or change cars. We are the face and voice of motoring podcasts in South Africa.
Welcome back to the Keep It or Change Cars podcast. I'm Nick Nash, your host as always. And don't be confused when you see me wearing this and my co-host as always looking dashing, wearing something very different. So you can't even tell what's the weather outside.
Thank you. Just for the record, it's the middle of February. It ain't the middle of August. Some guys are just built a little bit tougher. Have you had a good week, my good man?
Good week, can't complain. Been a very busy week. How about you?
Superb. As always, as I come in, I'm always late. I'm always behind him. Suzuki Swift in the driveway.
Yes, that's the car.
Tell us about that beautiful new Swift, because it really does look good.
Yeah, it does look good, especially the one that I'm driving in terms of the color. Because I would always see the white, there's the orange, and there's the blue.
This is brown. What do they call it?
I have no idea what they call it.
But it's like a brownish color.
I'll Google, I'll put it on the screen what it's called. So you guys are seeing it on the replay video. Like, it looks good. I actually do like it.
One thing that stands out immediately on the old Swift, and we all got used to it, those door handles,
Yes.
with all due respect, was that a backward step?
For me, yes, because when you're getting into different cars, door handles are at like a very common spot, whereas Suzuki in the previous gen, the door handles were at a different point. So I'm glad that they've moved on to that current door handles.
But if you took a youngster, somebody who's 9 years old, just when you start sitting in the back, they're a certain height. It must have been difficult for a youngster to access that door handle there. But that
100%.
proves again for me, often change for the sake of change doesn't work. I'm talking about radios, guys. Go back to the old style. That will really work for me. What's it like to drive?
To drive, it's okay, just okay. I personally am not a fan of the overall drive because they've taken a step backwards. And when I say step
In
backwards,
terms of?
the cylinders in the vehicle. So the previous
Okay.
generation was a 4-cylinder. Now it's a 3-cylinder, naturally aspirated. So you can already imagine naturally aspirated 3-cylinder. How is the power delivery? So from standstill, for me, that's where the biggest problem
And
is.
this particular one is a manual.
This particular one is.
And
a
I
manual.
imagine in a manual it's got to be worse.
Yeah, in a manual is much worse. In an auto, you won't necessarily feel it because you don't have to
Correct.
worry about the clutch. Whereas in this case, you do have to worry about the clutch. So you end up dwelling on the clutch a bit more, burning the clutch a bit faster. So when I'm speaking to someone, they're like, "But why are you worried about dwelling on the clutch?" I'm like, obviously, because it's a new car, you won't feel it in terms of the clutch, but you'll end up changing your clutch in this Swift sooner than you're supposed to be changing because of the lack of power.
And something I want to talk about later, service plans, maintenance plans, guarantees. A clutch is not covered under a guarantee. Do you know that?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
It's
Actually.
a wear and tear
It's a wear-
item, and the manufacturer's attitude always is wear and tear and driver abuse. And I don't want to say in
100%,
a sinister way driver abuse, but in terms of driving, a 4-cylinder engine is always been small for me. 6-cylinder, 8-cylinder, 10-cylinder, big. Now we go from a small engine to even smaller. Do you think it will ever go to 2 cylinders or not?
At this rate, yeah, I definitely think we must probably do go to a 2-cylinder, but with a turbo. Because I know companies that move from 4-cylinder to 3-cylinder normally put a turbo. Like I think with the Polos, the old Polos were 4-cylinder. Now it's a 3-cylinder
Sure.
turbo. So definitely 2-cylinder might be on the cards. You never know.
Something that's just come to mind for all those people who hate electric cars, you're probably thinking, I couldn't care if we went to 1-cylinder. As long as it's an ICE engine, I'm happy.
Yeah.
In terms of feedback, how is the feedback that we got on Motus and on the AA?
Yeah, the Motus feedback. I think for me that's the one that stood out the most because even the one where you spoke about the windshield one, that did quite amazing numbers on TikTok and people are relating. People are saying,
Incredible.
this actually happened to me but I didn't take note of it. So now we are educating people that these things do happen, how to treat them and how to navigate about them.
So let me tell you, we got the most incredible feedback. People were irritated. People have said it's happened to me. People feel they were taken. But there's something that we haven't spoken about. And we talk about the POPIA Act, the Privacy Act.
Yeah.
Think about this for a moment. You take your car to any dealership. Let's use me as an example. Audi Centre Bryanston. My car's booked in there. They know all my details. They have to know my details. They need to know where I stay in case I want to deliver the car back to me. If they need to pick it up in an emergency, they need to know my cell phone number. But in your opinion, should somebody else that's not related to Audi Centre Bryanston have my details or any customer's details?
No, not at all.
Now that is where the problem comes in. The gentleman that phoned me, his name is Gideon. I've confirmed with Audi Centre Bryanston and the franchise director for Audi Motus, Michael Glasberg, that the person who phoned me had nothing to do with Audi Centre Bryanston. yet he was in possession of my details. So we spoke about the tracking devices. We spoke about hijackings. We spoke about home invasions. How do we know as a consumer that the person who's now got my details is not involved in a crime that we don't even tie up? So to Audi Centre Bryanston, Michael Glasberg and Motus South Africa, I want to share something with you. I asked specifically for the CEO of the group, Rainer Gotchik, to call me. I didn't ask once, I didn't ask twice. I literally asked 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why do you think he didn't call?
I have no idea. Let me know.
His attitude was, from what I understand, if he had to call every person who complains, he'll spend his whole day dealing with complaints. Think about that. But let's go one step back. I have a voice. We've got a podcast.
Yeah.
We've got a TV show. I wasn't called. What about the man in the street who has not got a voice? How's he treated or she treated?
Definitely not treated like us, because we have a platform and we expect that the treatment we get from a dealership or Motus, for example, should relay down to the next person as well, whether they have the platform or not the platform.
Now, I always say, it doesn't matter whether you spend 100,000 Rand on a car or 5 million, the experience should be the same.
100%.
Doesn't matter whether you are a service advisor or the CEO, your care for the company should be the same. However, when you're earning 20 million Rand a year, that is what the CEO of Motus earns. Orchid Jante van Rensburg, 20 million Rand. Am I sharing private information? Not at all. Why? Motus is a JSE listed company. You can go onto their financials, they're public knowledge, and you can get that information. Do you not think when you're earning 20 million Rand a year, you should show a little bit more care?
I think so, definitely. If you want to stay in that position, I'd like to believe. Like if you told me, Nikki, even if you said, Nikki, you earn 5 million Rand a year, oh, best believe I'm going to be calling everyone that's complaining.
Now, I've said it before. You can go to my websites, All Things Motoring or Change Cars, not with arrogance, for you, the public. If you need to get hold of me, my name, my number, my email address, my cell number is there. Why? Am I hiding from you, or do I want to speak to you?
You want to speak to the public, advise them, so you can be, because I think not a lot of people understand that how ease of access you are, and you need to be ease of access because it's your company.
Correct.
People are dealing with your product or your service, so if something goes wrong, they want to speak to the person that introduced them to that service.
We always say the buck stops here. We've heard that saying. I truly believe that. Another saying that I've used before, a person is not unhappy with the situation. They are unhappy with how the situation has not been dealt with.
100%.
So to Motus, you have failed dismally. To everybody who's been affected by what I was affected, having a third party contact me, just think about how you are at risk. Your details are in the wrong hands. You have no clue if you're being tracked, if you're being traced, whatever the case may be. They know who you are. They know where you live. Unacceptable. What else did we get a lot of feedback on?
I have no idea. You'll never know.
the AA.
Oh, you mean the AA? Oh, definitely. After Motus, the next thing that
So interesting.
came about.
One thing you've got to give a person credit for, or an organization, you can actually see the AA have taken this on board. When I say they've taken it on board, they're replying to comments on Hello Peter.
Oh,
they're
okay.
replying to comments on Google. Am I giving them a hats off? Not really. But I'm just saying well done for taking a situation
Initiative.
that was bad and improving upon it. They have taken on board. But one thing that I find unacceptable, and I found this out later, the AA warranties, the AA aftermarket products, is it an AA product or is it an outsourced product?
I'd like to think it's an outsourced product.
It is an outsourced product to a company called Halls. Now, Halls, they sell fruit in Mpumalanga. That's what they're famous for. How do they come to selling an AA-approved product? But that is a story for another day.
Speaking, you just spoke about warranties and stuff. We receive a lot of questions with regards to
A lot. Like what would you say a lot? And we've got to smile.
We receive a lot of questions.
Constant. And
It's
I
what we
love
want.
that.
It's what we want. So ones that have been constantly in the comment section, people don't know, and people do have cars. They don't know what the difference is between a service plan and a warranty, and what a warranty covers, and what a service plan covers, and all those things. Please just touch on
So
that for us.
interesting. So for me, there are 3 components. Let's start with a service plan, and a maintenance plan, and a warranty.
Yeah.
Let's keep the maintenance plan separate for a second, and you'll see why.
Okay.
A service plan is exactly what it says, a service plan. I take my car into any dealership, whether it be Alfa Romeo to Volvo, anything in between. What do they service when they service a car?
They're changing your spark plugs, your oil, your filters.
Correct. So that forms part of a service. Brakes, is that a service item or a wear and tear item?
I don't want to say wear and tear.
It is a wear and tear.
It is a wear and tear.
Correct.
But it is covered.
No, not
Oh.
under a service plan.
Not under
So
service
this is
plan.
what is
Okay.
interesting. It's not trying to be too technical or complicated. A service plan only covers regular service items. For example, wiper blades. How often do you go to a workshop and they'll say, you need to do your wiper blades? It won't be covered under a service plan.
Yeah, definitely
Wear
not.
and
And
tear.
tear.
Now, maintenance plan is the exact opposite. It's a maintenance of a vehicle, as the name says. Your brakes wear out, covered. Wheel bearings wear out, covered. Wiper blades, oils, fluids, everything. One bigger bonus with a maintenance plan.
Okay.
It essentially doubles as a warranty. So if you think of BMW, to me, they introduced motor plan to South Africa. Everybody followed them.
Okay.
A BMW motor plan, the car's got 86,000 kilos, it's under motor plan, the engine blows. Is it covered or is it not covered?
Covered.
100%. Motor plan is a warranty. So your absolute first prize is when you see a car that's got a maintenance plan in place. I buy a car today. It's a 2023 model. It's got 38,000 kilos. It had a 5-year motor plan from BMW. That motor plan is in place until February 2028. Can be extended, but for the next 3 years, every single thing that can go wrong with that car, I'm covered. So first prize for anybody is a car with a maintenance plan. So just to recap, service plan only covers services, does not guarantee if anything breaks. You've got
Yeah.
a service plan on your Toyota that's out of warranty, but it's under service plan,
Service plan.
and the engine blows, you're on your own. You've got a maintenance plan from BMW, you've got a freeway plan from Audi, or the Mercedes Mobilis plan, and the engine blows,
It's covered.
you are covered. Then the warranty standalone. Manufacturers, take Chery as an example. They claim they'll give you a 1,000,000 kilometer guarantee on the car. It's out of service plan, but you're servicing it at the right place, i.e. an RMI approved garage, or Chery. Are you covered?
Yes.
Correct. So what is your absolute first prize if you're a member of the public? Your car that you own from BMW or Mercedes or whatever it may be, have a maintenance plan on it. You'll sleep a lot easier at night.
Much easier. And speaking about cars, that actually speaks out, like you just spoke about the brakes. And when I think about brakes, I think of the safety of a vehicle. And that's another question that we've also received. People are always asking, how is the safety of a vehicle? What is NCAP rating? Like 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star?
So
all
why
those
do I
type of
say
things.
incredible? When I think of the younger generation, and it's never ever been condescending, you always think the first prize is tech. The older generation, you think of performance but what is coming up repeatedly is vehicle safety. So let's break
Yeah.
vehicle safety into two components. The way you and I and the public drive, which to be honest, en masse is shocking in South Africa, and then the vehicle itself that we drive. What do you know? Because I must be honest, I
Yeah.
don't know a hell of a lot, but I like to learn. What do you know about the NCAP rating?
I know NCAP rating, or from what I know from on the basic side of things, is that a vehicle goes through certain levels of testing to see where it's rated. I don't know how they go into rating a vehicle 1 star, 2 star, but I know a lot of cars are used, whether they use like a head-on impact, side impact, and just to see how, because they have like the dolls inside of the vehicle
Correct.
that replicate a human, and see in terms of how would the doll be injured if it was a human. So I don't know how they score it to give it a 3 star and 5 star, but I know a lot of manufacturers really don't care about NCAP rating.
Well, remember, to get a high rating, it costs money. When I say it costs money, you need additional safety features, you need stronger materials,
Yeah.
you need testing, etc., and a couple of cars to get written off. So every single car in Europe undergoes NCAP testing. What is also interesting, the NCAP rating, even though you'll say 1 star, 2 star, 5 star, and they did the same 12 or 15 years ago, 3 star 15 years ago was lower than 3 star today. Because remember, they keep moving the goalposts. So a car like a BMW or Mercedes in the 1980s was considered very safe. and a Mini would have been considered unsafe
Unsafe.
due to the size. But if you took a 1980s Mercedes or 1990s Mercedes and you put it today next to a Suzuki Franx in a crash, what is going to be safer, would you imagine?
Maybe because of the Suzuki Franx.
Correct. Crumple zones, just technology. So, in your opinion, because like I said, I love to learn.
Yeah.
1 to 5, and you can get 0 as well.
You can get 0.
What
yeah.
is a great number for NCAP?
A great number.
Considered a very, very good number. If you get
Four.
1, you shouldn't be buying the car.
3 and up.
Correct. 3 and up is more than acceptable. 4 is fantastic.
5.
5 is almost unachievable.
Yeah.
But let's go back a step. 8, 9, 10 years ago, you would have got 5-star, but because 5-star then was 4-star today. So there are a couple of cars that immediately strike you as no-go. I can see the smile on your face, like, I'm ready for this. give me 25. No, I'm joking. Give me 3.
3. Datsun Go, Renault Kwid, Suzuki Espresso.
Literally in that order. You said a Datsun Go.
Yeah.
I'm going to coin a phrase. It's a Datsun.
No go.
Absolutely. When that car came out, it actually got a 0 rating. If you remember, the original Datsun Go, no ABS brakes and no airbags.
Wow.
0.
And when
So-
was that car launched?
Forgive me, I may be wrong, 07, 08, 09, somewhere
Okay,
there,
somewhere
was
there.
a car that came in at 99,000 Rand.
So
Okay,
that's competing with my personal car.
100%. But that was a car that had technology or lack thereof from the 80s or 90s.
Okay.
They then put in airbags, they then put in ABS brakes. However, when you've got a shell that crumples, all that's going to happen is the airbag's going to hit you in the face as it explodes, and it's going to cover you when the car implodes.
Yeah, no difference.
Renault Kwid, popular car. Suzuki Espresso, popular car. Now here for me comes a conundrum. Who is the typical buyer of a Renault Kwid or a Suzuki Espresso?
First time buyer, a student, first year student.
Correct.
So first time buyer, student. Yeah, those are mainly the first.
So why do I
first-time
say
buyer.
conundrum? You've got two challenges. You've got a car that is fundamentally unsafe
Very.
with a driver who's fundamentally inexperienced. So in the event of an accident, and this is what the public is saying, why are cars like this allowed on the road? Personal opinion, I really do believe that South Africa becomes often a bit of a dumping ground for cheaper models. I may be wrong, and I'm just thumb-sucking this, but I don't believe that the Renault Kwid or Suzuki Espresso would be allowed in certain European countries.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think I need to do my own research and find out if this car is in certain countries. Like I haven't seen, like in certain European countries, the vehicle.
Often we say the podcast is about what we know, learning, trying to
Yeah.
impart our knowledge. But please share with us if you can do some research and say, Michael, Nikki, you're 100% right. A Renault Kwid is banned in France. A Renault Kwid is banned in wherever. Where's a Renault Kwid made? In China. It's not made in Europe. And
I don't think it's made in Europe. I don't think. I'll put it on the screen where it's made. I don't think it's made in Europe.
it cannot be. I'd be so interested to know. Then cars that have got exceptional safety. What comes to your mind?
Exceptional safety.
When I say
Well,
you just know these cars are safe.
Okay, 2 cars that I'm thinking of. One, I'm gonna start with the lower end and a high end vehicle. Lower end because all the time when I have those brand on test, the people from India are always reminding me how safe their
Mahindra?
car is, Mahindra. Like every Mahindra that I have on test and I post, the comments will be like, "Hi, Nikki from India. This is I think the XUV
300.
3XO. It's
Yeah.
called a 3XO now. It has a 4-star or 5-star
That's
income rating,
impressive.
one of the two. So I was like, well, I didn't even know that until my audience told me. So that's one. That
But
I
in
think
case you're thinking that I'm very sharp when he said India and I said Mahindra, if you say Sweden, it's Volvo.
It's Volvo.
There's only one product from those countries. We don't talk about Tata from India.
No. And
But that car is surprisingly safe and very, very good. But
Yeah.
why? Clearly, they've identified safety as a priority,
100%.
safety as a real concern of the public, and worked on it. Because I can tell you now, you do not get a 4-star rating by luck. It's not a case of,
No.
okay, guys, let's see how we can cut corners here and let's send it for a test and, wow, we got 4 stars. Ain't going to happen.
it's definitely something that when they were making the car, they like, we actually want to achieve this rating. And that is across majority of their vehicles. And the other vehicle that I actually mentioned in terms of high end, you actually just mentioned it now, from Sweden, the Volvo. Because
Volvo.
when I think about safety, I think everyone in the country, when you say name the safest vehicle or safest
Volvo.
vehicle brand is definitely Volvo.
And now we talk about going back to the 60s and 70s. Something about Volvo that I've never shared on the podcast, but has always stood out and resonated with me. Seatbelts. What do you know about Volvo and seatbelt story?
I think they're the ones that came up with the whole 3-point.
Correct.
Just
Now, when a manufacturer comes up with an idea, the first thing they try to do is patent it for a certain period, or make sure that they've got their head start and nobody else can copy them. What did Volvo do? You can Google it, check it out. What did they do with seatbelts?
Well, looking at how many 3-point seatbelts there are, I think they just came up with the idea.
They made the technology available. Their view was safer cars, safer roads, everybody benefits. Volvo's contribution to safety, truly. If there's one brand that is universally accepted and acknowledged to be the leader in safety, Volvo. A story for another day. Why that car doesn't sell more than it does, I'll never know. People say it's an old man's car. Far from it. But that will be another discussion.
100%. So before we actually carry on with this beautiful podcast, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about other topics.
Need advice? Visit changecars.co.za and click on the Keep It or Change Cars tab.
Welcome back to the Keep It or Change Cars podcast. Again, we're going to speak about some very interesting topics.
You drive a Honda, I drive a Nissan. Do you want to put a turbo on each and we join them?
I know we spoke about this actually. We spoke about this merge, I think, a couple of episodes back, and we're actually quite excited to see how it's going to happen. But now, it's off the table.
So I was excited for a couple of reasons. One, I fundamentally do like the Nissan brand. I always have. Their failings in South Africa, lack of models, is something separate. That's a discussion, as you always say, for another day. But as a brand, Nissan is a rival to Toyota. Nissan is a rival to Suzuki. It's a quality, established brand, racing pedigree. The Nissan, what's that absolute ultra performance one? I can't remember that.
Nissan GTR.
Nissan GTR, the 300ZX, the 200SX, the
350Z.
350Z. You cannot say enough about a Nissan brand. Can they fail in your opinion?
No. For me, with what they have and the legacy as well that they have had, I think they can't fail. I think they just need to find out why they're actually leading towards the failure point.
So I'm just using an example, and it's nothing personal, but if you took the brand Cherry and all the associates, JQ, Amoda, Jetour, and that brand failed internationally, nobody will notice their demise.
Yeah.
The demise of Nissan, of Mazda, of Toyota, of Mitsubishi, of BMW, it will send shockwaves through the world. Why did the merger not go ahead? From what I'm understanding, what do you understand? Why didn't it go ahead?
I think because Honda wanted like majority of a stake in terms of with Nissan, and Nissan didn't want that because they also wanted to have their own vehicles and stand out from Honda. So like it doesn't look like Honda is essentially helping out Nissan, but it should look like they both two strong parties together with their own brands.
So for me, it's very, very simple. And I'm not taking sides because I like both brands.
Yeah.
Honda is not in trouble. Nissan is in trouble. Does Honda need Nissan?
No.
It would be nice to work with them.
Yeah, nice.
Collaboration is fantastic. We've seen how it works for the VW group. However, Nissan, I don't say you have to come in cap in hand. Honda is a stronger partner. Honda's got a much bigger market in North America, in Europe, I think in certain parts of Asia. Say, yes sir, no sir, tell us what you want us to do, sir. Nissan, from what I understand, went in arrogantly, and Honda pulled the plug very, very quickly. Because these talks weren't ongoing for weeks and months and years. It ended very quickly.
I think within like a month or two, everything was done.
Mark my words, I said it before, that Nissan will have to exit South Africa just because they're not doing the sales here and they don't have the products. Unfortunately, Nissan company worldwide is now properly in trouble. What other company has merged? Or not merged, working together very well.
Ford and VW. So they have, I'm sure you guys definitely know this, the Ranger and the Amarok. That merger went well. For me, I liked it because the Amarok for me didn't have much heritage in terms of for VW. Like for VW, the Amarok is not like a city Golf or something. So it's
a new product.
It's a new product. So I didn't mind the merger. Where as much as you get into the Amarok, you can feel that when you get in, you can see that it's actually a Ford, same engine. I didn't mind it. Where I actually do mind it is when it comes to the Caravella. So the Caravella and the Ford Tonio, there's a partnership there. So the new Caravella.
Is that a new car to South Africa, the Caravella?
Definitely not. Definitely
Is it similar
not.
to the Caravelle?
Which one do you have? So the
I
one you
always
have.
joke. Last time we said, is it coupe or is
Oh,
it coupe?
Yeah.
Caravella or Caravel?
Caravel. So it's been, you guys definitely know,
Course.
it was most probably it as a taxi for many of you
Course.
guys, it as a school transport for many of you guys. You actually own two, right?
Correct.
Yes, you own
But what
two.
is interesting now, if you take a brand like Audi, BMW, and Mercedes, if I say I've got an M5,
Yeah.
I just know that I've got a special car. If you say you've got an AMG, you've got a special car. If you've got an RS,
RS.
with VW, if you say you've got an R-Line, entry-level special.
Yeah.
But when you talk about the Combi and you say you've got a Caravel,
Caravel. That's
you don't have to say anything more. What do you drive? I drive a Caravel. You don't
That's
have to say I
enough.
drive a VW Combi T6 Caravel. You say I
They-
drive a Caravel.
They know.
Unbelievable car.
So now the merge between Ford and VW is that the latest Caravel is based on the Ford Tonio.
Incredible.
And looks wise, the looks wise, the Caravel looks good in front. You can see that it's VW. It looks very good in front. But the interior and the back and the shape literally just screams Ford Tonio. And for me, that's where I think VW shouldn't have done the merger. Rather not release a Caravella
Interesting.
at all and keep it at like the T6. If they needed
Interesting.
help for the next Caravel, rather they don't release it at all and leave it and say the T6 was the last one of its shape. There won't be anything else after that, because the merger now just taints an image or the history of the Combi as well.
So now talking about Combi, so we went to VW Campfest and I went in my beautiful 2002 2.3i. I am in love with a Combi.
Yeah.
I bet you'll not get this, and I promise you, if there's one thing that we don't do, it's not a case of I set him up and I say, I bet you won't get it, and he pretends he doesn't know. You haven't a clue what I'm about to ask you.
I have no idea. So.
What VW Combi product am I desirous to own now? Think about this. No longer made.
It's no longer made.
No longer made. I'm not sure worldwide, but I know in South Africa it was made for 2 generations. Specifically, it's a VW Combi type bus. So not a Touran. What am I thinking of?
I have no idea.
Sharan. Have you heard of the VW Sharan?
I've heard of it. I just don't know it like that, but I've
So-
heard of it.
So the VW Sharan came out in 2005 with a 1.8 litre turbo and a
Okay.
2.8 litre VR6. So whenever we talk about the VR6,
Oh.
we think of a Jetta
Yeah,
or we
yeah,
think of a
Golf,
Golf.
100%.
Okay? So anybody who's watching this, knows somebody, can find somebody who has one. I want one so badly. 2005 to 2012, preferably the 2.8 VR6, either first gen or second gen, I don't care. You got to smile because you want to go fetch it with me.
Definitely. I can imagine a 2.8, the VR6. Now you're just making me think and want a VR6 all over again, because it's definitely something that has been in my mind non-stop.
What I love about the VR6, and often we digress, what is the VR6 famous for? What is the difference between a VR6 and a V6?
Actually, and I think it's the way it's placed in the engine bay. There's the difference for me.
So the VR concept was pioneered by Volkswagen. You get a VR5, think about that,
Okay.
and a VR6. Now, how can you have a V5?
V5.
As one cylinder head got 2 and one cylinder has got 3. So the VR concept, amazing, is it's a V engine that shares one cylinder head. So
Oh,
a
okay.
typical V engine, a V8, a V6, a V10, has got 3, 4 or 5 cylinders on each side. But the VR6 is a V configuration, but it looks like a straight engine
Straight engine.
because it's sharing one head. So just superb, very cost effective, superb for performance, no losses, and from what I understand, slightly smoother than a typical V.
Oh, okay. I actually haven't driven a VR6, so I really can't say. Well, I am going to drive one as soon as Michael gets his hands on that Combi.
So it's in your hands, guys. Help us get a beautiful Sharan 2.8 VR6, and if we can't find one of those, we'll take the 1.8 turbo, ready to trade it in when the time is right.
So another concept that I actually like about your company.
I love it when you love concept. I love it. Keep liking them.
You're always introducing new things to different things, and as your TV show is called All Things Motoring, there's a tab actually on the All Things International page that says All Things, and you just touch on what is All Things.
Thank you. So when we came to the show, All Things Motoring, that name didn't just pop into my head. I was thinking, what do you call it? If you call it something off-road, then you're focusing only on off-road. If you call it on-road, then you're focusing on one-dimensional direction for the brand. So we called it All Things Motoring, and literally the name says it all. We're looking to launch the concepts of all things finance, all things insurance, all things off-road, all things tires, all things fuel. So companies that would love to partner with us, we would love to partner with you. Top companies where service is at the forefront of your offering. If you're a fuel company and you want us to do all things fuel, brought to you by All Things Motoring. If you're an off-road business and you want us to do all things off-road, we'd love to do it. How do you get hold of us? Super easy. Visit the website. My name, my number, and my email address is there. Super excited about that.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see like everything in progress. Like we have all
Appreciate
things tracking, all things fuel, all things off-road, all things racing. That'll be very. Can I have like my own tab, like an all things city
Nicky.
golf, like all things city golf? Then I just show all the city golfs.
Without joking, anything that you could think of where you'd love to collaborate with us. One of the collaborations that we're going to be doing, famous commentator, motor racing commentator, Roger McCleary, still with us, 90 years old this year, absolute legend of South African motorsport. His son Grant, legendary racing driver from the 90s, Stanley Group N, is partnering with us, and we've got some super exciting stuff to bring you. Stuff that is not being done in South Africa. But you've got to ask me about something that is not exciting me, that bugs me.
What's bugging you right now?
Try guess. You'll never guess. It ain't the police, it ain't the taxis, it ain't the OEMs, it ain't Motus.
Oh, I was going to say Mazda, because, okay, it's not Mazda.
Mazda, to their credit,
Okay.
have listened. Remember, they announced new products, and I think Mazda sales have gone up by 10%. They did an extra 5 cars last month.
So it's not Mazda, it's not Motus, that could be.
That's something government related.
Okay, I have no idea. Government related, I have no idea what you're talking about.
If you're looking to stimulate growth in a country, you need employment.
Okay.
Tourism is the absolute driver of job creation.
Yeah, 100%.
People come to a country, they need to be driven, they need accommodation, they need food, they need venues. The Transport Department of South Africa, the Department of Transport, you purposely, and I say it purposely, are holding back tourism in South Africa. A transport permit. I have a vehicle, I need to transport 16 people. I want to go buy another vehicle, I need another permit. By buying another vehicle, I need another driver. I'm creating growth in the motor vehicle sector.
100%.
Try get that permit. What do you think it takes to get a permit from the Department of Transport?
For
For a tourism company. Doesn't matter who you are, what province. It can be Mpumalanga, Cape Town, KZN, Eastern Cape, Gauteng, you name it.
I have no idea.
It's an absolute disgrace. So we deal with a lot of businesses that are in the tourism sector. Doesn't matter who they are. What is their one bugbear? Mike, we'd love to sell a car, but we can't. Can't get a new permit. It is absolute crazy. The government of South Africa, I say this with respect, I say it with disdain, but I say it with honesty. What you are doing to stifle growth in the sector is scary. I have not a shadow of doubt. When this comes out, you will see the comments from entry level. And when I say entry level, people are looking to get into the game. They want to start a business, and they will say, I can't get a tourism permit or transport permit. How is that possible?
So it's like when you I just say I myself already have a transport permit for one of my combis, for example.
It belongs to that vehicle.
It belongs to that vehicle.
Correct.
Why don't
it belongs to that vehicle with the chassis number, the register number.
Why don't they make a permit where it belongs to you? And then any other car you buy, you can just like say, I've added to my fleet. I think that would be a lot easier.
Fair enough, and it's a very logical suggestion. So I can transfer that permit to another vehicle. The problem is, I want more vehicles. Because more vehicles stimulates growth. Like I said, more drivers, more transport, more fuel, etc. Try apply for a new permit for a vehicle.
So how long does it take?
Honestly, anywhere between 6 and 18 months.
What?
To do what? They've got an existing company who's got a track record, and I'm not going to mention names because it's not fair to them. Some of the biggest tourism companies in South Africa are struggling with this. When I say some of the biggest, they are struggling with it because they're looking to increase their fleet, change their fleet, modernize their fleet, get new vehicles. They can't.
And okay, worst case scenario, like you say, it takes 6 to 18 months, right? Let's just say a company is looking to add to their fleet, and they do add to their fleet. And then as they're waiting for the permit, they're like, you know what, we're actually getting overwhelmed. There's people coming from America. They want to go to Kruger National Park, whatever. And then I actually just decide to use a vehicle that doesn't have a permit. what happens if the traffic department catches me out?
So funny enough, from what I understand, they're not concerned about the traffic department. They should be, and they are.
Okay.
But it's what happens, God forbid, in the event of an accident. The insurance company will say, we can't pay the public liability. So let's start simply. Everybody at this level is operating within the law. They take pride in that. I don't want to break the law and go transport people from Europe and Canada and France and Africa, wherever they may be. God forbid you have an accident. A cow runs into the road. I hit the cow. 2 people pass away. What's the first thing the insurance company is going to say? Show us your paperwork. Sorry, our paperwork's not in order. Why? Because we've been waiting 12 months. Well, you shouldn't have had the vehicle on the road. So a simple fact, if you want to take one entity that is affecting growth in this country, the Department of Transport, by not issuing permits timelessly, easily and effectively, you are stifling growth, you're affecting tourism, and you're affecting businesses. To issue a permit is not difficult. It's very, very easy. Sir, let me see the following documents that you've got. I've got them. They're ready. They're available. My drivers have got public driving permits. We've got third-party liability. We've got public liability. What more do I need? To wait?
Yeah, I thought you were going to tell me it takes like a month, but
Never.
6 months to 18 months is a long time.
If somebody tells you it's taken a month, you have only one question to ask them. What bribe did you pay? Literally.
So basically for you to get it quickly, you need to end up paying a bribe.
But when you're talking about the biggest companies in South Africa, it's not the way they operate.
Yeah.
And sometimes, crazy enough, even bribes don't work. But if somebody gets their permit super quick, they've paid a bribe. It is absolutely crazy. You like steers, you like KFC, you like chicken licken. I go to the counter, I need only 2 things. To have my order ready and money. I've got the money and I've got the order ready. What do you expect?
The food.
Pay, receipt, 8 minutes later, my food arrives. Pay, wait, 2 days later, you're still waiting for your burger. You're going to be happy?
Not at all.
Is that company going to survive?
Not at all.
So an absolute impassioned plea to the local governments and to national government. The Department of Transport, just please make it easy for businesses to thrive, because when they thrive, you thrive, your family, your colleagues thrive.
You know when they're going to thrive? When it's time to vote again. When it's time to vote, because I think a lot of departments, that's when they actually start thriving again, because they actually want you to keep the people in power. So when it's time to vote, best believe I'm 100% sure it won't take 6 to 18 months to get a...
We are never here to try and bring politics into these podcasts. But let's call out good where it deserves to be called out.
Yeah.
And let's showcase bad where it needs to be showcased.
100%.
Department of Home Affairs, 2 years ago, it was one of the most dysfunctional departments. Backlogs for visas, backlogs for passports, you name it. You wanted a bad department, it was the Department of Home Affairs. GNU, how's that department today? Factually.
It's doing well.
It's doing well. Department of Sport, what do you call it? Ministry of Sport.
Ministry of Sport. Oh,
Gayton, you are amazing. You are the Ministry of Sport, but I want to call you the Ministry of Motorsport. I think he's pushing incredibly hard for this Grand Prix.
Yeah, 100%. He's really pushing it. Really, really pushing. And now I think even Cape Town wants to join into the bid as well. Cape Town should just wait. It needs to go to Kailami. No
question. And I love the city of Cape Town very, very much, and I love the city of Durban. But a motor racing Grand Prix today has to be around a track. Around the houses, street circuits. No. Only one street circuit in the world works consistently.
Monaco.
100%. It's been there since 1950, no question. But who's our biggest competition for the Grand Prix? In Africa.
Africa.
It ain't Cape Town. It ain't Durban.
Rwanda, yes, Rwanda.
Unbelievable. I always look at little nuances. The 2024 FIA prize giving, they could have held it anywhere. They're a European-based organization. They have Grand Prix in the Middle East. They have Grand Prix in North America. Yeah. They have Grand Prix in South America. Where did they hold it?
I'm guessing Rwanda.
100%. That is not a little bit of a sign.
That should have us shaking. But honestly, there's nothing wrong with having 2 Grand Prix in Africa. Like, why do they have to give us 1?
You know what the saying is? Give us a finger and we'll take a hand. Please, can we have 1 Grand Prix? Please, 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 in Africa. You know what? Let's make it 2. But a
100%.
Grand Prix in Africa, they call it the Formula One World Championship. It cannot be a world championship when it's not taking place in one continent.
continent,
And
yeah.
that is Africa. And take a gentleman like Lewis Hamilton. It is his dream to have
race.
a Grand Prix year. Lewis Hamilton is 40 this year. Probably got another 3-4 years maximum. If we look at Alonso, probably got another 20 years. But I mean, Alonso's never going to retire. You know that.
Yeah, Alonso, oh, no, definitely not. Because he went to retirement and then he got out of retirement. And goes
Correct.
So definitely not.
In politics, like in Africa, we say president for life. Fernando Alonso, you are a driver for life. But another great podcast.
100%.
So much to share next week. Should we let the cat out the bag?
Nope.
What is? You don't want to
Nope.
let the cat out the bag.
Nope. Just keep asking questions. that's the clue.
Okay.
Just keep
That is
asking
the clue.
questions. Then next week you guys will know what.
Next week, you're going to see something same, but very different.
100%.
Thank you for your time, Nikki.
So thank you guys for watching this beautiful podcast. I'm Nicky Nash as always. That's Michael Pursuit, and we're signing out. See you next week.
Keep It or Change Cars, the motoring podcast for you.